Greetings, old school magic players, and welcome to the Four Horsemen. Greetings, old school magic players. Welcome to the Four Horsemen. Tonight, we're going to be covering some of our Four Horsemen Old School Magic Tournament number 18 quarterfinals matches. If you'd like to play some Four Horsemen Old School Magic, join us at fourhorsemenmagic.com or facebook.com/group/fourhorsemenmtg. We are the only old school magic format that focuses on the original first four expansion sets: Arabian Nights, Antiquities, Legends, and the Dark. Tournament number 18 is running January 3rd through February 8th. You can check out our great lists of prizes here. We've got some fantastic playmats, some really cool tokens, and a quick look at the banner restricted here. We've just recently updated this for Tournament 18, and we've had some very spicy brews in this match. We are in the last couple of weeks of this tournament, finishing off the last few quarterfinals matches and getting ready for the semifinals and finals coming up next week. As I mentioned, the banner restricted list is as you see here. Recent additions: Dark Heart of the Wood, Sylvan Library, and Greed were added to the restricted list. This restricted list has really been evolving throughout this format, and we feel it's in a pretty good place to keep the format fun, enjoyable, and fair. We feature some fantastic prizes, including Rook tokens, the original Arabian Nights Islands, and many of the proxies you see here that feature some of the original 1993 and 94 comic book, Magic the Gathering comic book art. These are done by John Eccleberry, and our top 8 players receive these prizes in the mail for playing in our tournaments. Also, for our first place winner, we are giving away our Ken Meyer Jr. unique artwork, custom for Four Horsemen, Guardian Beast Purple Moonlight playmat, signed, numbered. 100 of these were printed, nice stitched edges, and you can win a copy of this playmat if you win first place in Four Horsemen, and we'll ship it to you. Let's take a look at the brackets. Today we're going to be covering the match of Philippe Bizian, a long-term Four Horsemen player and supporter. Philippe's been with us, I believe, since Tournament 1, and he's made it. He won our second tournament, and he's made it to semifinals, I think, twice before. And he's piloting a really interesting, spicy version of Tax Edge for Four Horsemen. We'll take a look at it. Isaaco Patini is one of our Italian players, and he's played in a few of the Four Horsemen tournaments, and he's running a really interesting White Weenie Jihad Angelic Voices deck. So let's take a look at those decks. Philippe is on the left here with his Tax Edge, and we've got Isaaco on the right with Angelic Jihad. For Philippe's deck, this has been an evolution for Philippe. He's really worked to refine and mature this deck. This is, I think, his 4th version of this deck, and it's really in a good spot. Very competitive. It can operate extremely efficiently on just one land for most of the game, playing Brassman, Tundra Wolves, the Miracle Workers, which can tap to get rid of creature enchantments, and a Clergy of the Holy Nimbus, which can regenerate unless your opponent pays 1. And then things like Spirit Links, Chain Lightnings, of course the obligatory Winds of Change and Land Tax and Land's Edge, all in 4-ofs. The Bloodlusts are really spicy and really help with early damage as well as with removal on his first strike creatures. And cards like Eye for an Eye are a new addition to Philippe's deck that really make it spicy. The one-off Ivory Tower, Mistress Factory, Strip Mine, no Maze of Ith in the main deck because it's all about aggression with this deck. And on the land count, 8 plains, 6 mountains, 4 plateaus. Philippe is running very, very, very lean on land here. So he does have to make sure he gets at least 1 or 2 land early, but he can operate on such a small number of mana. He can operate effectively on 1 mana for the majority of the game. He doesn't need that much land. So pretty spicy brew and quite refined by Philippe. In the sideboard, the 4 active volcanoes to take out any blue creatures, the 4 divine offerings, 4 repenitent blacksmith, pro red 1/2, and the 3 army of Allah. Really nice deck, Philippe, and I'm glad to see this deck evolve and mature throughout the tournaments you played in. Okay, let's take a look at Isaaco Patini's deck. We called this deck Angelic Jihad. There are some similarities in terms of creature counts and creature types. There's, the blacksmith, the repenitent blacksmith, or main deck in this deck here, the 1/2s. The Tundra Wolves, the Pikemen, the Clergy of Holy Nimbus, all similar creatures from what Philippe is running. But Isaaco's running 3 Preachers, 4 Thunder Spirits, and then moving into some of the higher end stuff, a couple of Tetravis. Only 2 Spirit Links main deck, interesting. 2 or 3 Divine Offerings. And then the buffer spells. Angelic Voices, which gives all of his artifact and white creatures +1/+1, 3 of those. A couple of Army of Allahs, which are very powerful instants, +2/+1 to all attacking creatures. And then 2 very spicy Jihads, enchantments that give, as long as he chooses a color, and as long as an opponent has cards in play of that color, then all white creatures get +2/+1. So this is one of the only cards that is probably not really ideal against Philippe's deck, but against any other deck, really, really powerful. And we haven't seen Jihad make it into any of the semifinals decks before, so it's really cool to see this. 3 Jaloon Tomes, a couple of Pendle Havens to pump the 1/1 weenies, and a Strip Mine, along with looks like 18 plains. So also running really lean with 21 lands. It's possible that Isaaco may run into some mana challenges, but if he gets 1 or 2 mana, he should be all right. But we've seen, 23 lands is really what most decks want to run. So he's just a little lean on the land there. In his sideboard, the Maze of Ith, the 4 Greater Realms of Preservation, which are effectively protection from red, protection from black. You pay 1 and a white, and you can prevent red or black damage from any source. Pretty good. The 3 Dust to Dust to remove artifacts. Another Angelic Voices, a Divine Offering, a couple more Tetravis, and then the Presence of the Master. This card has been really showing and shining in Four Horsemen to deal with lots of the enchantment decks. That Presence of the Master with the Einstein art by Foglio is a really cool enchantment, 3 and 1 white, that basically counters any enchantments that are played. So that's been a really powerful card for enchantment, for dealing with enchantments and Four Horsemen, and really cool to see Isaaco playing with that. All right, I think we are ready to get into the quarterfinals match. Let's go to the game. Okay, so Isaaco is starting off here with a plains. He won the roll and is starting off right off the bat with a plains. What's going on here? Weird.
Player.
Alright, sorry about that. Okay, now we're ready. Okay, so Izuko is on the right, Philippe's on the left, and Izuko's on the play. These guys are already shuffled up, and here we go. Izuko did not get a turn 1 Tundra Wolf here, which I'm kind of surprised. I was thinking he might, be able to come right out of the gate with a creature, but it does look like Philippe gets his one of his 4 Miracle Workers, 1/1 that can tap and remove a creature enchantment. Izuko gets a Pikeman on his second turn, dropping his second land. Nice to see Izuko hitting his mana there. That's really good, considering he's running both of these decks running very lean. Philippe also hits his second land, a Plateau on turn 2, and looks like he is passing turn. The first strike ability of the Pikeman is pretty strong, and Izuko plays a Clergy of the Holy Nimbus. Those guys are really cool. They're 1/1s. If they attack and end up taking any damage or anyway, they regenerate basically unless your opponent pays 1 on their next upkeep, so it can tap down their mana. Okay, Philippe plays Tundra Wolf. Now he's got a first striker. The banding first strike ability of the Pikeman is pretty cool and relevant. And Philippe goes ahead and plays right into his third mana, not holding back at all. But now he is in position to play Land's Edge if he gets it. Izuko hits his third mana, which is fantastic, and drops a Thunder Spirit, 2/2 flying, first strike. Great card. Always loved that art. And boy, Izuko's hitting on all cylinders here. Just really, really getting everything he needs. Attacking with the banding first strike Pikeman coming in and getting in for damage, bringing Philippe to 18. Philippe ends up not playing land, but straight into Chain Lightning to take out that 2/2 first strike Thunder Spirit. And then Philippe brings in his attack for 2. Izuko's pensively considering to take all the damage or maybe to block. Decides to go ahead and take the damage, and there is the Bloodlust. Oof, such a spicy card. +4, minus, bringing your defense down to 1 is what it does effectively with the new wording. But that brings in 5 damage for Izuko, bringing him down to, I think, 14. I can't quite see his life there. Let's see, there we go. Yep. And then Izuko comes in with his planes and the angelic voices on his turn, giving all of his creatures +1/+1, and getting in for 4 damage. This is such a fast, action-packed game. Philippe then comes in with his attack for 2. That takes Philippe down to 14, Izuko down to 12, and then Philippe plays land tax. Since Izuko's got 4 planes out, it is going to trigger on Philippe's next turn, and Izuko will be in the land tax, Land's Edge danger zone. Okay, Izuko plays his third creature. It's a 1/1 first strike Tundra Wolves, but it's pumped because of the angelic voices, +1/+1, and Izuko gets in for 4 damage, bringing Philippe down to 10. Now, Philippe is able to trigger land tax on his upkeep because he's got 1 fewer lands than Izuko, and this is scary because he'll be able to attack with his creatures, he'll be able to play Land's Edge potentially. He's only played 3 lands this game, so he probably has 1 or 2 lands in hand, and he just drew 3 more lands. And he could also top deck a land potentially, so he could have a lot of lands in hand. Land's Edge deals 2 damage for every land you discard. So let's see if Philippe has his land tax, Land's Edge combo here. There it is. Boom. 2 red and 1. There's the Land's Edge. 2, 4, 6. 8, 10, 12 damage. Wow, just 12 right away. Didn't even have to attack. Wow, that was a really quick game. Let's take a pause and let's go over and take a look at the decks and look at the sideboards. Okay, for Izuko, you know, this is a really tough matchup for Izuko when you really look at it. It's probably one of the toughest, most non-ideal lineups that Izuko has had in this entire tournament so far. His sideboard is not really all that great, with the exception of maybe the Greater Realms and the Presence of the Master, if he can get them out quick enough. Everything else in his deck is probably not ideal. The Maze of Ith could be potentially relevant if he gets it early to hold off some attackers and maybe stave off some of those bloodlusts, but really what he wants is those Presence of the Master. The Greater Realms of Preservation are not great because you've got to pay 1 and white for each damage that's done from the source, and each time you discard a land, it's another set of damage. So he'd have to have a ton of mana to prevent Philippe from discarding multiple lands. So really, the Presence of the Master, I think, is his only hope here. It'd be better if he was running a 4 of those. I also realized that in the last couple of tournaments that 4 of Presence of the Master in the sideboard is the way to go against things like Blood Moon and even Spirit Link and a lot of the Four Horsemen enchantment decks that have been very powerful over the last few tournaments. So it would be great if he had 4 of those. He's only got 3. So he's probably going to side out his 2 Jihads because those are not great versus Philippe, since he's got white creatures too. And maybe a Jalum Tome and sideboard in the Presence of the Master. He might try sideboarding in 1 or 2 Greater Realms, but I don't know what he would take out for it. I guess he could possibly take out some of the Angelic Voices. They're very slow and they cost 4. So maybe he sides out the Angelic Voices and sides in the Greater Realm of Preservation. But like I said, the challenge there is, if Philippe can discard a land, and if he pays the 1 and white off the Greater Realm, then Philippe can just discard another land, and he has to pay another 1 and white, or the damage won't be prevented. So it's a very tricky thing to prevent that damage if you don't have a ton of mana with those Greater Realms of Preservation. Yeah, it's a tough matchup for Izuko. For Philippe, I don't know that he needs to sideboard anything except for he could probably sideboard out his Eye for Eye, since Izuko's not doing a ton of direct damage, so probably sideboard out the 2 Eye for an Eye and put in the 2 Army of Allah, and maybe sideboard out maybe the Ivory Tower, but maybe not. Maybe one of the Winds of Change. Sideboard out 1 Winds of Change and 2 Eye for an Eye and put those 3 Army of Allahs in. And that's probably what Philippe would do. Okay, so let's jump back over to the match, and we will get on to game number 2. All right, I'm going to skip ahead here just a bit. All right, the guys are putting out their piles. We had quite an audience watching this game. We had John and Brian, Daniel, Jack, myself, Izuko, Philippe, all watching and rooting on both of these players. There's been such a variety of spicy and innovative decks in Tournament 18. It's been really cool to see all the innovation that the players have come up with. Okay, so Ice goes on the play. First turn, Tundra Wolves. Nice to get a first turn creature there. But Philippe does also get a first turn Clergy of the Holy Nimbus. And comes in for an attack. Philippe elects not to block and takes the damage. And Izuko gets another Plains and another Clergy of the Holy Nimbus for himself. Alright, Philippe is getting his turn to land tax, sticking to one land. That is very deadly for Izuko there. Like I was saying earlier, Philippe can operate on a single mana for the majority of the game, which is really strong considering his tax edge strategy. Izuko already over the land tax, land's edge amount, so just plays right through it. Not much he can do about that. But he does not have his Thunder Spirit, does he? He's taking a pause, considering, goes ahead and attacks for 2, bringing Philippe to 17. Ooh, I was hoping maybe he had one of his Army of Allah, or maybe he had that Thunder Spirit. Would have been really nice here. Looks like he's considering what to do and pass his turn. Yeah, that's unfortunate for Izuko there. He's really got to put the pressure on if he's going to have a shot in this game 2. Really tough matchup for Izuko. Philippe gets 2 lands. He gets 1 mountain, 1 plains. So he's not loading up on all the lands yet. Since Izuko played his 3rd land, which maybe he shouldn't have done, if he didn't have a card he could play for 3 mana, it might have been better for him to try to stick to 2 mana and 2 lands for a little while, and that way Philippe would not be able to, ramp up so quickly and land tax again and again. But then this also lets Philippe play his 2nd land, which is of course a mountain, and next turn he could actually land tax again and already have play another mountain and have his tax edge combo in play. Man, those bloodlusts are really, really painful. Philippe attacks on his turn with the Clergy, bloodlusts, and Izuko takes it. 5 damage right on the chin, bringing him to 15. Okay, Izuko's at 4 mana now. Will he have the Angelic Voices? Yes, okay. He did not sideboard the Angelic Voices out and attacks for 4 here, bringing Philippe to 13. Keeping the aggression on. Wow, it would have been so good if he had that Thunder Spirit there. He could have hit in for another 3 damage. But Philippe is able to land tax again. That's so painful for Izuko. And he's loading up all 3 mana this time. I got a bad feeling that the land's edge is coming next turn. As soon as Philippe has enough mana, he's got 15 damage. Izuko's got 15 life, so he's done 5 damage. He may need 1 more turn to pull the combo off, depending on how many lands he has in hand. Does he have so he hits in for 1 with the Clergy, bringing Izuko to 14. Plays the Plateau. Ah, there it is. Oh no! Land's Edge and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. He has all the mana right there. Ouch! Oh my gosh, what a brutal, rapid amount of damage from the Land's Edge. Just taking a double dam. This is what Brian was commenting there. Wow, he had so much mana in his hand that he was able to do the 14 damage all right there. Let's listen in and see what the guys are talking about here.
I was thinking about even removing Land's Edge just to see if I can do something else. And even if you draw the presence of the master, they would have done nothing. So yeah, maybe game 3 if I lost this one, I might have tried something else. But yeah, it's still.
But also very good deck and very effective and not really good matchup for me. But yeah, well done.
Yeah, well, I got lucky enough to find the lens edge every time, because let's say I don't find this early.
Yeah.
You deal more damage with creatures. I sided in the armies of Hala that I have in my sideboard to maybe do another burst if I have a bunch of creatures, but yeah. So far, like you were gaining the race if I don't find the lens edge.
Yeah, what I was trying to do, but well, you were too fast, is like putting a lot of, this kind of angelic voices and jihad and this kind of stuff, and then I'm playing all the creatures, and on top of that I have like the Tetravos, so I'm just putting a lot of tokens and gaining speed with that. But yes, was good match, and see you the next time.
Yeah.
And was a pleasure.
Thanks, Isaac, for joining us so late. We were really hoping, when John and I were commentating on the background, when you tapped that 4 mana, we were like, oh, is it Presence of the Master? If it was...
No, unfortunately, no, I was not telling that. Yeah.
If it had been Presence of the Master, then that would have locked out the lands.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah. I was hoping for the same, but yeah, that's fine.
All right. Well, good game, guys. Philippe, congrats. You're going to proceed on. And
congratulations.
Have a
I joined up too late. I missed it.
Rest, and we'll see you next time. All right. Well, that was such a rapid match. Wow. What a turn of events for Isaaco. Just didn't really come together for him. And yeah, what we were talking about there is on that turn 4, if he had the Presence of the Master in the hand, he could have played it, because the next turn is the turn when Philippe played Land's Edge. So there was an out, at least 3 outs, and this is why you want 4 of those for these types of enchantment combo decks. Really unfortunate that Isaaco had the Angelic Voices and not the Presence of the Master. So Philippe locks this one up with a 2-0 win with his very innovative, spicy, and unique Tax Edge deck that operates mostly on 1 mana until it's got the combo ready to go. So, Tax Edge emerges victorious against Angelic Jihad in the quarterfinals. Philippe will be proceeding on to the quarterfinals, to the semifinals brackets. And that wraps up the match for tonight for tournament number 18, quarterfinals. Join us next time, and we'll see you then.